If you guys are seeing this video, you might have came from a short form platform, either YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. If you did, I greatly appreciate you guys coming here. If you could subscribe, I'm going to be putting out more and more videos that explain my daily life, what I do for working out, what I do for food, how I manage everything. And again, this is all in a goal to help you guys and for you guys to help me so we all can learn from each other to have normal blood sugars. I'm not claiming to be an expert on any of this stuff. I'm only 2 months into my diabetic journey. However, only 1 month in, I have maintained essentially normal blood sugars with an average of between 80 and 90 milligrams per deciliter. A little over 2 months ago, I started losing a bunch of weight. I'm big into working out, so I track my weight fairly often. For the past 2 years, I've always kind of been the same weight, usually like 156 to 160 pounds. I kind of float all in between there. And I weighed myself and I had lost like 10 pounds, which, as you can imagine, was not normal at all for me. So I started just eating more food. I was like, maybe I'm just not eating enough. Maybe I haven't been keeping track as much as I usually do. So I just started eating more, a lot of junk, unfortunately, in terms of processed carbohydrates, sugars, a lot of stuff like that I was eating just to try and get more calories in. And after a weekend of kind of doing that, the following week, I lost another 5 pounds in the 1 week. And at that point, me and my family and my girlfriend, we were like, there's probably something wrong. So I decided going to the doctor to get checked up, and they did a blood sugar test. I was telling them about my symptoms, which was obviously the weight loss. I was super, super thirsty all the time. I could drink like 2 gallons of water a day and was still thirsty. Peeing all the time, obviously, because I was drinking so much water. Those are the only symptoms we really noticed at the time. I also seemed to be very fidgety. I had a hard time sitting still. Like, we'd get done with dinner and I would just get up and walk around, or I couldn't sit down on the couch and relax. So I don't know if that was part of it as well, but that has seemed to go away. But anyways, I went into the doctor, told him about my symptoms, tested my blood sugar, and I was at 282, which obviously is high, but I'm very thankful that I caught it when I did, because I've heard of other people going in with 300s, 400s, 500s, even 600 blood sugar levels, which usually they end up being very sick. So I'm very thankful that we caught it when we did. After that, I went and got some blood work done. At that point, we kind of expected that it was type 1 diabetes. Not much of a chance that it was type 2, as I'm in shape. I don't eat super bad. So type 1 diabetic, that's when I was diagnosed 2 months ago. That's kind of how I figured it all out. From the time that I was diagnosed, I started researching on my own and working with some other doctors, aside from the endocrinologist and the diabetes specialist. And I was getting told direct opposite things in some cases, which was very frustrating. The endocrinologist and the diabetes specialist were telling me I need to eat carbohydrates, otherwise I will be at a greater risk of diabetic ketoacidosis, which is when you have high blood sugars, the chance of going into a coma, going into the ER, things like that. So I was getting told you need to have carbohydrates, and with some other doctors, I was getting told no carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are going to spike your blood sugar and will make things worse. So it was very conflicting from the beginning, and I decided to start listening to the doctors that wanted me to have little to no carbohydrates. And I also had to, of course, if you're type 1 diabetic, start taking insulin. And within a few days, my blood sugar started to come down. And then within a month, I had my blood sugars down into normal range. Not only normal range, but a tight range. Once my blood sugars became into a somewhat normal range, below like 140, 150, I started working with some other doctors more on how to get that down into the optimal range, because based on my own research and some doctors that specialize in diabetes, or doctors that are just very knowledgeable on the damages that high blood sugars cause, we wanted to get my blood sugars down in between 75 and 95 milligrams per deciliter. But while doing that, I'm being told by the endocrinologist and a diabetes specialist that it's okay to be upwards of 180, which is very high and is very damaging to your blood vessels. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert on these things. If I'm using the wrong term, I apologize. Or if I'm saying things incorrectly, I will get better as I go along, but I may be saying things incorrectly. But the endocrinologist, they said it's fine. After a meal, you go up to like 180. You don't really want to go much higher than that, but the range they give you is 70 to 180 milligrams per deciliter 70% of the time, which means 30% of the time you can be above that, which is very damaging to your blood vessels. Once again, that's why diabetic complications are blindness in the future, losing limbs, things like that, because it's blood flow related issues. But despite what the endocrinologist was saying, I knew that I wanted to get my blood sugars down into normal range. And I think I can pop up some screenshots here of my average blood sugar. I think right now it's like 89, and it kind of depends Sometimes I have a few rough days where I'm in like the low 100s, like 105, 110, something like that. Some days I'm fighting lows a little bit, but most days I can keep it in a steady between 75 and 95. It kind of just floats along in between there, even with meals, even with lifting weights. So I've somewhat figured out how to do it, but obviously there's more to learn. But again, I made a second account just for diabetic stuff, along with probably some weightlifting things, because not everybody wants to hear about the diabetic stuff on my normal channel. So I'm going to do it separately on this channel. If you guys are diabetic, or you know somebody that's diabetic, or they're pre-diabetic, please send this to them. Please send them to my channel. Please send them one of my videos. It'd be greatly appreciated. I would love to help as many people as possible. I think a lot of people are at a loss at what to do because they're being told incorrect information by endocrinologists and diabetes specialists on what is healthy and what is realistic in terms of blood sugar levels. Yes, you can have normal blood sugars as a type 1 diabetic. I'm not even using an insulin pump yet. I'm using all injections. So if you have a pump, it can be even more realistic to get your blood sugars within normal range if you use the correct diet and put some time investment into it. So once again, if you guys are watching this, it's greatly appreciated if you could like, share, subscribe. I would love to grow this channel as quickly as possible to help as many people as possible. Any of you watching, it's greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.